Happy Thursday. Another fine day in southern Illinois and highly unusual. Only 80-some degrees today, sunny, no rain, beautiful, kind of like the 4th of July weekend. Take it while it lasts because it's somewhat fleeting. Except for the new people who are here, it's like this all the time. Don't worry about it. It's like this all the time. So, well, welcome. I know we got training day going on today. So you got a lot of stuff going on back in your units, trying to get caught up amongst everything else. We've been very busy, as you all are intimately familiar with. You know, I don't have to tell you what all's been going on and how busy you've been. Certainly a lot of stuff happening around Scott Air Force Base, both within the wing and as we support our partners here. You know, I always kind of emphasize when we do newcomers, Chief and I talk newcomers each Tuesday, that, you know, our wing is about 2,300 people-ish, you know, amongst us, but over 13,000 people, you know, come to work on the base on a given day. And that didn't count all the dependents and everybody else who lives here that you support, the over 46,000 people that we really support in the local area between retirees, dependents, and everybody else. So it's a lot of what we do is supporting other folks, and you guys do a great job with that. We've had a lot of changes go on in this base, as leadership changes in particular, not the least of which has been with our big partners. This is one of the slides that the Chief and I show during Wing Mission Brief, but also during newcomers each week to kind of tell, you know, kind of paint the picture. I consider the irony slide the help from above slide that shows where we fit in down there at the very bottom and how everybody else is above us. The 50, as you see down there, 56 senior leaders, general officers, SESs, and all on this base. But we have had the changes of command here. You got General Selva moved up over to Transcom, and then General McDough moved up from 18th Air Force up to AMC. We've got General Everhart is now in at 18th Air Force, and General Davidson, newly promoted to 2 stars yesterday, is the Army's SDDC Commander, Service Deployment and Distribution Command. So a lot of senior leaders changing. There are others that will happen during this summer as well. Supply Chain Operations Wing's changing out here in a few weeks. So a lot of leadership changes amongst our partners on the base. This is the way our wing looked, and it's an eye chart. I know for some of you particularly sitting in the back, you'll find a print, but this is the way it was beginning of the year. Then we started having, oops, there we go. The execs, by the way, Captain Turner got deployed 2 weeks notice too. Boom, started in front of us, bad omen. We had a lot of changeovers happened already, where you've seen we got the, you know, command chiefs coming in. We've got the DS swapped out, and within your different groups on into all the squadron changes of command. And so a lot of leadership changes are going on here in the wing. 10 squadrons turning over. We actually even closed one of the squadrons out in Colorado Springs, those who saw that. 311th Airlift Squadron closed. So a lot of leadership changes going on here, and that doesn't count. That's just at the squadron commander level. That count your ADOs, your chief superintendents, flight commanders, section chiefs, et cetera, that is happening through the normal summer PCS cycle. It comes in waves. It's that time again. So lots going on, a lot of changes. One thing that hasn't changed is what we're doing and what we support. And we got to have the quiz. This is a reminder. So as we all talk about what the 375th does, we provide mission-ready airmen and capabilities to... No, it's not enable rapid, it's enable rapid global mobility. That's what we do. That is what we do. We enable rapid global mobility. Every single one of you in this audience enables rapid global mobility. And I can connect the dots from whatever your job is in here to making that happen. Because like I pointed out, even though we're just 2,300 people strong, supporting over 13,000 on this base, that is a very important mission. That slide I showed you with the big mission partners on there, that's a very broad portfolio. And everything from Transcom, who, as a reminder, is responsible for moving everything in the Department of Defense around the world. Everything. That's their mission. We support them. We enable them. AMC, via the air, with the Tank Airlift Control Center, now I'm old school, the 618th AOC, Air Operations Center, so I got to get that right. Command and control and all that airlift, the air medical evacuation, the air refueling, making that happen. The Army, 2-star headquarters here at Scott. It's not Fort Scott like they like to call it. It is Scott Air Force Base. Still, But, responsible for all the surface movements, to include ships and all the stuff to and from the war, your household goods. Anybody who's moving, has moved, SDDC, they own that process. They're not the carriers. They're not Beacons and United and Mayflower and all the challenges that we all face with that. But the process and DPS, they own that. They're responsible. So we want to keep them happy. They want them to be successful, right, in their job. If they're successful, then we're happy and we get good programs and all. So the reach of what we have is very broad. That's the mobility piece of it. But you saw those comm organizations on there, DISA, CONUS, okay? That's a huge, in AFNIC, those are a huge comm presence here which enable all the other communications, enables all that command and control that is so vital, okay? That's why we have a comm group in our wing and not a maintenance group. It's a contract maintenance for our C-21s. We have a comm group, one of only 5 in the Air Force because it's so important. You all enable rapid global mobility. The mighty medics always, right? Caring for people and families, all of us. The mission support group, you have a touch points with everybody. And ops is either A, directly providing rapid global mobility, but also facilitating it through the airfield and the OSS and all the other capacities there too. And certainly the wing staff agencies, the cats and dogs, the land of misfit toys as they joke around calling themselves, provide all that underlying support for everybody on this base. Our legal office, keep in mind, SARC and everybody, EO, we support everybody on this base with those processes. You all make a difference. You enable rapid global mobility, and we can't lose focus of that. We do a really good job. You guys are doing great. We've got some standout performers. Earlier today, we recognized a senior airman newly selected today for Staff Sergeant with a USO award. One of our SARM troops over in the ops group won a USO award, which was big, presented him a nice trophy earlier. That was fantastic. On that note, we've got a number of other staff. Who else made staff today? All right, we owe you guys a big round of applause. That's awesome. That's awesome. Big day. Big day. That's a lot of hard work. A lot of studying goes into that. There's a lot of folks. It's a team. And help facilitating that. And part of that is, taking care of each other. I'll see with the order. I'll come back to that here in a second here. I want to go to the special recognition first while I'm on the subject, because I'm on a roll. What I want to recognize is, I'm going to skip that one. I'm going to go to this one. I'm going to come back to Company Grade Officer Council, because I'm going to talk about making staff. It's a team effort. It's everybody taking care of each other. It's the testing, it's the prep, it's the learning your job and doing everything and being the best airman you can be, right? Well, we also have some really top performers. And so now, Senior Airman Skews, no, he's Staff Sergeant, already pinned on, all right? But when he would come on up here with your supervisor. On CDCs, we all know how tough that is, right? That's a lot of hard work goes into studying, learning your job, and getting ready. Again, a team effort that goes into. That's why I always bring the supervisor up here as well, because it's not on your own. It takes the leadership and the partnering, and that's why we have the wingman concept. You as supervisors out there staying and taking care of your airmen, personalized. It's like your little family right there. You're taking care of them. That's what happened here. 95% on his CDCs, and I just want to say congratulations and great job. And I got a coin for you here too. Great. Thank you. All day, every day. Great job. Thank you. Great job. All right. So that's a great. You guys can go have a seat. Thank you. That's fantastic. I got another one of those to give out in the next round. All right, so now going back. Company Grade Officer Council. I'd like Kevin Ben-Hamu to come up here. President of the Company Grade Officers Council. Another thing that makes it great here about taking care of each other. This is another one of the private organizations, so to speak, of all the company grade officers together. They govern themselves, they develop their own programs, they get involved in the community. It's about professional development. They were recognized as the Company Grade Officer Council of the quarter for the entire Air Force because of the great programs they have for getting involved, volunteering, raising money for charities, the development on the base, the volunteer work. They've had a lot of events where they've invited the advantage of having some of that help from above on this base is we have access to some senior leaders, those 56 general officer and senior executive service civilians. They bring them in for mentoring sessions with the CGOs. They've done a phenomenal job. They've got a lot of really outstanding CGOs who are hard chargers wanting, great leadership opportunities in organizations like this. The Chiefs Group, NCO, all of those organizations, those professional development kind of organizations are great about continuing that development. Want to recognize Captain Ben Hamil on behalf of the entire CGOC for the Company Grade Officer Council for the Air Force. So. All right, so I was talking about how great everybody's been doing and connecting to the mission. The Air Force is interested in hearing about that from you. General Welsh, maybe you've seen him speak, or maybe you've met him in person, maybe you've had an opportunity to engage with him directly. He's a very personable guy. He loves to talk. He just come right up to you. Doesn't matter, airman, colonel, general, civilian, doesn't matter. Just talk to you like he's your uncle. Say, how's it going? Wants to know how things are going on, wants to hear from you. What can they do to help make your lives better? He and Chief Cody totally trying to support the airmen and families. As part of that, they're in touch with, how do we communicate, what's going on, what's popular these days, and so they're on Twitter, Facebook, Snapchat, you name it, all of the different social media sites. But one of the things that they're interested in this intriguing concept of the selfie, which is taking hold of the entire nation. My daughters, boy, they're good at the selfie. But they're looking for videos. They're looking for little 30-second videos, 30-second max from you. They want to hear your story about how you connect with the mission. What do you do? You saw the posters, when you walked in. PA, thank you very much for putting those together for us and trying to capture what you do, to enable rapid global mobility, whether you're a firefighter, whether you're a lab tech, you're up in the tower. I forgot who else. We got a whole cross section from each of the groups up there. What you do to connect to the mission. How do you, in this case, enable rapid global mobility? What are you excited about in your job? So they're looking for, PA can help facilitate and will get the information out. What you do is you take your no more than 30-second video, be creative how you want to do it, and post it to your YouTube site, and then send them the link is basically what the way it works, and then they'll judge them. They're actually going to give prizes, and there'll be some more stuff, so you weigh your path to fame and glory. You can go viral, maybe, your chance to take the internet by charge. But anyway, so they're interested in hearing your stories, and encourage you to participate. If you've got something you want to share, love to see that. And so please go ahead and take advantage of that opportunity. All right, we did some of this. All right, well, a lot of these briefings, you've always got to have some kind of safety briefing. The safety office is not coming up here to do this, and with their safety vests or reflector belts and reminding you to wear helmets and all the other good things. That's all messages that hopefully you guys know and continue to execute that. You need those reminders periodically, some people do, and here's your reminder. Do all this, be smart, because here's what it boils down to. Make smart choices, right? Make smart choices. And that goes whatever it is in life, not just riding motorcycles, not just going rock climbing, whatever it might be, it's just everything that you do. When driving, making that turn on the interstate, merging into traffic, should I get ahead of that car or not? Every day you're making choices, and I'll just make smart choices is what it boils down to. My message to you is thank you. Because we just came off of a 4-day weekend with gorgeous weather in this region, which has not been like that for a long time, right? We've gone through some severe, some hot, some all kinds of crazy weather. We've been running like you wouldn't believe, and ops tempo's been up, and you guys have been crazy busy. There's the stress of all the stuff going on with force shaping and everything else, so everybody needs a chance to blow off steam. Have some relaxation, take some downtime, and we got a chance to do that. ABC Family Day, the holiday fell on a Friday, then you got the weekend, so 4 days of an opportunity to go do that, 4 days of an opportunity to have mishaps and to do dumb stuff. Not a problem in this wing. You guys have been fantastic. In fact, I don't want to jinx us, but I'm encouraging you to do is to keep doing what you're doing, because it's whatever it is, it's working. Okay? Continue to be the good wingman. Look out for your buddy. Make sure they're making smart choices. Supervisors, having that conversation, that eyeball-to-eyeball contact with your airmen before the long weekends. Hey, how's it going? Just knowing what's going on. Help them make those smart choices. Maybe that 12-hour drive after work and a 10-hour shift is probably not, maybe, what's your rest plan? Oh yeah, I probably will be tired. Sometimes that's all it takes. So just maintain that good wingman concept to keep that up, because you guys are doing a great job, and I thank you for that. I thank you for looking out for each other and for the great record that we have. Now, as part of the public service announcement, and on behalf of, I got Dr. Burton here, who is always looking out for me. If he sees me working late, he's checking on me, make sure I'm doing okay. He's always making sure I got hand sanitizer after I got to go to, shaking hands with 1 million people at a public event, so I'm not picking up a flu bug. He's my wingman. He takes good care of me, and he's always making sure that I got my sunscreen on. And I thought that this was a good safety reminder. We ought to recognize some of those other folks who also promote that same concept with summer safety.
Bud Light presents Real Men of Genius.
Real men of genius.
Today we salute you, Mr. 80 SPF sunblock wearer.
Mr. 80 SPF sunblock wearer.
There are 24 hours in a day. You're wearing 80-hour protection. If the sun fails to go down, you'll be ready.
Don't forget the moonlight.
Your coconut-scented force field blocks out all the sun's rays and any stray rays from another sun in another galaxy.
Your star.
30 SPF, please. You might as well be wearing cooking oil.
Something smells delicious.
So crack open an ice-cold Bud Light, Mr. 80 SPF sunblock wearer. In fact, feel free to crack one open at high noon in the middle of the Sahara Desert.
Mr. 80 SPF sunblock wearer.
Bud Light Beer, Anheuser-Busch, Carter's.
All right, no endorsement meant there, but hey, but it is St. Louis, home of Anheuser-Busch, so it's appropriate. So no, wear your sunscreen out there and make sure you're staying safe. Is that a good message, Doc? Anything you want to add to that?
Absolutely not, sir.
All right. All right. All right. Next thing I want to talk about is the inspection program. And just to refresh and kind of provide a little feedback, we just had General Gorley, Major General Gorley, who's the Deputy IG for the Air Force, was just here. In fact, he was the acting IG for a period of time. But he just came out to visit. He was here on Tuesday and Wednesday, spent Tuesday with us here in the wing. Got a chance to have lunch with squadron commanders and chiefs, and we saw senior NCOs, had breakfast in the morning also. Got to meet with the IG team and folks from across the base to discuss the new program and get some feedback. And it was a very, very productive visit, I felt, and so did he and his chief, because this is their opportunity from way up at the five-sided wind tunnel of the Pentagon in DC to be connected with the implementation of decisions they're making on this program down in the field. And what are the unintended consequences? What are the challenges that we face, that you face on a daily basis as we try and implement this? So things like, manning. Oh, by the way, are our positions funded? The problems with all the NAs on MICT, all the checklists. Everybody loves MICT. The self-assessment checklists, which, oh, by the way, are not self-assessment checklists anymore. They're not self-assessment. They're still the acronym same, SACS. They're self-assessment communicators now. Self-assessment communicators. And the intent, the philosophy behind that is it's just supposed to be an indicator for you of how we're doing. Now we can change the names and we can go through all this. The philosophy is the same. It's about the self-assessment and the continual improvement. And that's what I wanted to emphasize to you is I've talked to you about it before. You've heard me say it, and I'm going to say it again, and I'll probably say it again till you believe me, if you don't already. I sincerely believe and buy into this program of self-assessment as the commander's program. I am not spouting this because it is the party line. I am not saying this because I'm the wing commander and have to implement it in the field. I'm telling you, I believe in this new program because it is the commander's inspection program. It puts it back on me to make the assessment at the wing level to be able to figure out what's going on, and I want to know what's going on and where we have holes in the system, where we have deficiencies, and so we can fix them. So it is okay, I reinforce to you, it is okay when you're doing your self-assessments, to write it up. You're not getting in trouble. Okay? It is about trying to find where we can have those improvements. It is okay to write it up. I expect as we go through this program and we kind of re-baseline ourselves, if we were to put a curve up there of number of write-ups, and we're seeing it as we go through the units, which is encouraging to me, we got a lot. That's weird for the commander to say, I'm happy we've got a lot of write-ups. But I am, because it means you're looking. And we're finding the stuff that's in there that we weren't, either we were hoping no one would notice before because we were worried about getting graded, or we just didn't know what was wrong. Okay, but we got to find out. The only way that we're going to continue to be an outstanding, top-performing organization is to know where our deficiencies and where we need to improve. So I would expect that our curve is going to be really high up front for write-ups. And over time, hopefully, it'll go down relatively quickly once we get to the first cycle. It'll come down, and then we'll settle into where there will still be a normal rhythm of up and down. We're still going to have write-ups. We'll never get to zero. If we're at zero, it's because we're not looking. There's always going to be something because things change all the time. Regs change, all the other AFIs change, everything changes. So it's okay. The challenge as we communicated to General Gorley were, and it's nothing he can really do about it. We're just talking about the reality. So they keep in touch with this on the system is in small functional areas, you might be inspecting your own program. So you're the one who ran your self-assessment, and now all of a sudden you're the WIT member and you got to inspect your program. Or you've got to inspect your buddy, your wingman, your office worker program, or your boss, your supervisor. Was that awkward, huh? That you got to now go back and inspect your boss's work and say, hey, well, you're deficient in this area, you missed this. That's okay. And so I tell all the supervisors out there, you should want your fellow airmen to point that out. If I'm doing something wrong, I want to know. If I'm missing the mark, I want to know. The chief will tell me if I miss them. The vice will tell me. The group commanders, I hope that you would tell me. I hope that if you see that I was doing something wrong, that you would let me know. Because I don't want to do it wrong. Okay? At your level, you need to be able to have that same. You need to be able to write it up, and because we're trying to fix it. It's all about intent. It's not to get people in trouble. It's about intent. It's about to make the unit better. So as part of that, just to refresh so everybody understands kind of where this concept's going, there's 4, they call them still graded areas. I don't like that, but that's just the way it is. Because that still goes back to the old mentality. We're getting a grade. We all have this thing, we've got to get the good grade. This new process is not so much about grades, it's about readiness. How ready are we to execute our mission? That's the focus. So you hear it from me, you call it MGAs, but I'm all about readiness. And these are the areas. Executing the mission first and foremost. That's why we exist, to execute the mission. And the mission is to? Enable rapid global mobility. Yes, with enthusiasm. So enabling rapid global mobility. How are we doing it, and how are we in our own sections doing that, okay? In order to do that with all the fiscal constraints that we have and all the force shaping and all the turnover, the personnel, the PCSs, et cetera, how are we doing at managing our resources to be more efficient in getting it done, to be effective in executing the mission, to be good stewards of the taxpayers' dollars that are fewer and fewer that we get as dwindling budgets? Leading people is taking care of you and your families. This is the squishy one. It's hard to measure. It's very subjective, but it's very important. Taking care of you is incredibly important because without you, you can't execute the mission. It's a chicken-egg thing, They always say mission first, people always is another way to communicate that. That's what it's about. It's about taking care of you. So how do we lead people? How are we taking care of you and your families? And improving the unit. That's the whole philosophy behind the new process, is how do we continue to improve to make sure we're being the best at what we are. So that's the 4 major graded areas, they call them, but those are the 4 aspects of this. And just to make sure everybody kind of understands that as you go forth. So when you're looking at your areas, this is what we're asking you, the framework to kind of assess how we're doing and come up with ideas for next. So in all of this, the feedback that we got from how we're doing in self-assessments, how we're going to continue to improve. I'm going to turn it over to Chief to talk just a little bit about the standards and customs and courtesies.
All right, good morning. Got the big bad chief talking about standards, customs, and courtesies. But that's not how I like to look at it. This slide It's not about me. It's about all of us. These are the principles that were instilled in us on day one when we entered the military, right? We're different than the civilian folks for a reason, because when they look at us, they see professionals, right? So standards from day one, how we wear the uniform, how we groom ourselves is very important. And I may not be talking to the right audience because I look out and I see everybody's well within standards, everybody's looking the part, everybody's about the business. But there are a few people out there who are kind of ruining your reputation, if you will. So I'm asking you to help champion this cause as far as helping folks to stay within these limits, within standards. If the person next to you is pushing the limits with a haircut, just let them know, hey, it's time to get a haircut. You need to look the part. And again, I'm seeing everybody's looking the part right this morning. And oh, by the way, did the boss talk about 50 or so general officers and senior leaders on this base? What does that mean? That means they're afforded some certain courtesies and customs, as in saluting vehicles and whatnot. There's been a few issues where folks haven't been saluting vehicles. The Wing Commander's vehicle, the 18th Air Force Commander vehicle, the Transportation Commander's vehicle, those are all afforded a salute. So if you're walking by, it only takes a few seconds to just render the proper customs and courtesies for those vehicles. And when you're talking to an officer, yes, sir, yes, ma'am, that's the way I was taught. The boss will tell you, he walks into my office, I still stand up to this day. Any officer can walk into my office. Lieutenant, I stand up. You know, the boss will tell me, oh, Chief, you don't have to stand up. Yes, I do. That's what was instilled in me. So I think we need to reach back to those basic principles and be what we are. Again, I know you guys are all about it, so I'm asking you to help me champion that cause across the installation. And it's not just in the 375th, I know it's across the installation. But I'd like to clean up my house first before I go to pointing fingers. But if you see somebody's doing something wrong, just correct them. And also, I'd like to leave you with one thing. As leaders, especially you new folks who just made Staff Sergeant, congratulations to you. But she's like, thank you. Yeah, congratulations. What I ask of you now as you start stepping into that role as supervisors and those who are already supervisors, get to know your airmen. There's a term called intrusive leadership. I really don't like that because it kind of denotes a negative term, like you're getting in somebody's business. But engaged leadership. Get to know your airmen. It's the only way. Get to know what's normal about that airman. It's the only way that you can recognize when something's abnormal, and then you're able to take charge and handle that situation. So that's all I have for you this morning. This is where I drop the mic.
Thanks, Chief. He got a round of applause in the first session for this. Yeah. Oh, no, you deserve it. You're good. Yeah. All right. All of this, we talked about the inspection process. We talked about the standards and everything. It's all about what I term, and I've read the book, there's a book out there with the same title, which I think is a good book, being from good to great. I think we do really good in a lot of areas. I think we're great in a lot of areas, but I think we can be great in so many more areas than even we are right now. And a lot of what it takes is not what you think. It's those incremental little things that polish, that small thing, an incremental improvement in one area or action has an exponential impact. And things like the stuff the Chief's talking about here, the customs and courtesies, the way we are perceived with how we engage others, our customers. And keep in mind, customers doesn't just mean like in an FSS facility or somewhere where we engage with someone who comes in. You are customers to each other who come and take care of you in your work centers, to others on this base. How we do that, that professionalism has a huge impact. You know, the whole attitude is everything concept. Right? Our defenders on the gate greet everybody with a welcome to Scott. You know, a smile. I get compliments all the time. Everybody has, you know, their energy levels kind of go up and down, but I always get compliments here from random folks on the defenders at the gate for the fact that this base has that, it's that little extra that makes a big difference. They touch everybody that comes on this base. So when they say, hey, welcome to Scott, with enthusiasm and to give you a smile or a nice sharp salute, they set the impression for the base right there. I think some of you may have heard me tell this before, but when General Barry, the A4 on AMC staff, when he PCS'd in with his family, I met them at a function down in O'Fallon, I think it was around Veterans Day. And his 11-year-old daughter made a comment to me when I met her, and they were talking about the base and how they really like the base here. And how, oh yeah, when you come to the gate, they say, welcome to Scott, and they're all friendly. And I said, it wasn't like that at base X. You know, we're like, oh, okay, yeah, thanks, here you go. And they give you back your ID. An 11-year-old girl, it made an impression on her. That's the impact. You don't think people who recognize that stuff, but they do. And the impact that it has of now their impression of the organization, of this base and how we do things is formulated off of little things like that. When they have that impression, it translates into other things and their support for and their and how they tell others. It goes into our greater reputation as an organization. We espouse to be AMC's Showcase Wing. I assert that we are AMC's Showcase Wing, but we have to maintain that standard and earn that standard every day. And that's where the little things like this, you know, how we go into customer service and take care of folks. Earlier this morning's session, I recognized Marty from the engraving shop, who is an epitome to me of how that goes. You know, we've talked about this great turnover we've got going on this summer. And everybody's got going aways and farewells, and someone, oh my gosh, we forgot to get a gift for, you know, Sergeant so-and-so or the colonel or whoever. They go out of their way, if they can, to find ways to make it happen, to get things done, to be customer service oriented. It's just yet another example of taking care of people and how we interface with each other. Going extra mile on giving briefings or TMO and extra stuff when people are having problems. People in need in small areas like that makes a big difference. Think about for you, when you need help, when you're in the PCS or you're trying to get in your house or you've got some issue, you're working an assignment, it's very LRS, FSS oriented things, but it's just an example, how important that interface is for you to be able to make it simpler for your move and what impact that has on you and your family. The Med Group all the time, they're trusted care anywhere. I get compliments consistently across the board on how great our medical care is in taking care of folks and their willingness to serve, to be there for the customer, for the patients. That's fantastic. That is what I'm talking about. It's that customer service, it's that attention to detail that kicks us up a whole notch, and it only takes this much effort to get this much effect. That's the good to great that I've been talking about. And so in order to continue to do that, and in the spirit of the new inspection process focused on improvement, the Air Force has adopted the new Airmen Powered by Innovation program. Some of you are familiar with the IDEA program, it used to be called, where you submit the suggestions, you put it in, and you can actually get money. If you save a whole bunch of money, you make money, they'll share some of the savings with it. This is the reworked, you know, kind of adopted and remorphed onto the new, some new guidance to try and help shape it a little better with today's environment. But this is the new version of the IDEA program. And we need your ideas. We need your perspectives, your experience from PCSing in from other bases. We need your ideas on how we can do new things, how we can work smarter, not harder. But it doesn't have to be grandiose kind of things. It doesn't have to be, oh, we create this brand new widget that's going to solve the problem for this. It might be a new way of using something that we already have. It might be a way of changing where something is located in the office space so that you don't have to, hey, if we move that copy machine over to here, then, you know, everybody would be able to get to it easier, and that'll save a whole bunch of time back and forth, and then I can spend more time on this. Little improvements around the way and make quality of life better for you in the workplace, or small improvements in time add up, and that gives you more white space in your calendar, more time back to you to get things done. Who knows? We don't know all the ideas that are out there, but we need them from you, so we need to keep that spirit of innovation. This is one that I like. The sound isn't working here, but as with a daughter, a 16-year-old daughter right now, I thought this was a pretty innovative idea. You seen the trunk monkey? This is the chaperone edition. I wish the sound played, but this is the trunk monkey chaperone edition. I think that's a pretty cool idea as the father of a 16-year-old daughter. But what I was particularly impressed was, you know, hey, I thought that was great, but I didn't realize until that Dr. Burton had put in a suggestion at one point and it was adopted, that there's yet another version of the trunk monkey. This is the pediatric version. He's up there telling you, yeah, breathe with the monkey, breathe with the monkey. Yeah. Yeah. So great idea. See, so we take the suggestions and it comes into play. Who knows what ideas are out there that'll help? But we need your innovation. We need your ideas on how we can continue to improve the units, how we can continue to improve operations and what we do. All right. Get to some updates on kind of the way ahead. This is something that's been looming on everybody's mind for, certainly since last fall. This is the latest, greatest version that I got this yesterday on the DCO, online video conference with the AMC staff, chaired by the Vice Commander, General Bash. The wing commanders run every Wednesday. We get this. A1 presented this. This is the timelines and where we are on some of the latest boards, focusing coming up here on a lot of the officer force shaping actions. The one thing that's not captured in the slide, what I want to tell you is there is a good news story within this that's not readily apparent, in the sense that the numbers that we originally put out there for the number of expected cuts and all have been significantly reduced for a couple reasons. One, we've got the voluntary programs that have been working and have been getting them. Two, they've been sharpening the pencil a little more and realizing that in some areas they don't need as many people cut in certain AFSCs and year groups as others, and so they've come down drastically, the numbers that are being cut. Now these are still significant. When you talk, 1,400 people, 1,100 people, a lot of stuff, that's a lot of people, especially when you're one of those people. 2 people is a lot if it's you. But the good news story is that these numbers were like 4,000 before. And now they're about 20, a lot of them are down in the 20% of the original as far as what they're looking for these involuntary cuts. So they are continuing to revisit and look at what they need to get it right. The one thing that's been constant throughout this entire force changing process is change. And the PSDMs come out regularly and they keep changing, updating the matrices, updating the eligibilities, year groups, AFSCs, but that's because they're trying to get it right. And they are listening and refine it. But this is the latest that we have. This is a timeline. Like I said, some of the officer stuff's coming up. The enlisted retention board is ongoing as we speak, or just finished up actually. The slide, they presented it was supposed to be last week. They gave it to us this week. So those board results won't be out for a little bit. But that's what I know right now. And FSS, I had them in here earlier too, and they've got nothing else new. This came right from the A1. That's the last that I have on it. Okay, so going back to all of this again, just to recap, this is what we do. And all of this stuff as we're working through, and the ideas, the innovation, the standards, and everything, and how we execute our mission, who we support on this base, it gets back to this. Whether it's aeromedical evacuation, and we've got the flight nurses and med techs who are out there doing it on the front lines, executing that mission daily, how we enable and support them across the globe, not just in the Afghanistan AOR, but we're making a difference directly there. We are enabling the people to schedule those flights to get those aeromedical evacuation. Oh, by the way, KC-135s do aeromedical evacuation. So our Guard partners over there, and we have the 906th Active Duty Squadron with them, they're doing a lot of that stuff too. We support, down the bottom left, SDDC, the Army. They contract all that shipping of all the stuff going to and from. I told you household goods, that's them. All that move stuff, that's them. I got to have a C5 in there, it's my baby. But air refueling down there of aircraft for the strategic airlift to get stuff anywhere in the world, that's what we're doing. That one on the top right, that's a C-130 that is in South Sudan. That picture was taken. And this is a real-world example of here recently where, because of all the crisis in an African nation in South Sudan, with the rebels and danger coming into where we had an embassy presence, they needed to go back and evacuate the embassy personnel out there. So bringing in a quick reaction force and do a NEO, a non-combatant evacuation, to get them out. Those are C-130s. That's going in there to do that. And even though there's a whole lot of players that went in, special ops and a lot of other joint partners that in that operation, no one can get there without what we do here. We command and control. We provide the mobility assets. We provide that transportation capability and the planning for all of this stuff. whether it's CENTCOM, SOCOM, whoever's executing the mission on the front line, we enable all of that from right here in the cornfields of Illinois. So when it's the heart of, we get Snowmageddon and you're plowing and shoveling to get folks into work so they can come do that. When you're the child care worker who has to drive through the snow as mission essential over at CDC so those people can come to work, that's what you're doing. You're enabling all of this stuff right here. And so my plea to you is to continue to go back and remember that when you're doing your things, and share. Remember to take the opportunity to point that out in your workspace with your airmen as you're executing a mission, that this is what you're doing. This is ultimately what it's going to, as you're supporting this. That's what we do here at Scott. So with that, how am I doing on time? All right, we did pretty good. We got enough time. We got had some good questions in the first session this morning. But so I'll open it up now to see if anybody has any questions. I'll take them on any topic, just like I do any other time. I'm excited about the Bears prospects this year. Not too many Bears fans in here, I guess. At least my new vice is a Bears fan. So, all right, anybody got a question for me? Anything we can answer? Any topic I didn't cover or something you're curious about? Anyone? No one wants to ask the first question. Chief, anything else you want to cover? All right. Anything else you guys want me to cover? In the front row? All right. Okay. Well, with that, I won't keep you any longer. Like I said, we train to task, not to time. It's my philosophy. If it's what it takes to get it done, we get it done, and then we move on. Okay, we're not going to just fill the block of time because that's what we allocated. Get the objective. So that's what I wanted to pass on to you. I thank you again for all that you're doing. Again, I consider us still, and I'm very proud to call us and tell everybody that we are AMC Showcase Wing. I'm incredibly proud of what you're doing. Thank you again for taking good care of each other and getting us through this critical days of summer lately, and specifically this holiday weekend, and what you do every day on calling in and looking at if someone's just not right, perhaps maybe suicidal ideations. We get some of those every once in a while. People are just looking out for each other. That wingman concept, you're very good at that. I've been very impressed. So thank you for what you're doing. Keep doing that.